This is Rashawn Slater, first round draft pick for the LA Chargers, and you're listening to the Charged Up Bulls podcast.
T-minus.
Here's what's coming up this week on the Charged Up Bulls podcast.
It's that whole Kevin Keegan attitude.
I worship at the altar of the Lucky Surfboard.
Telesco could have had the horn.
Allegedly.
Shenanigans, I like it.
If looks could kill, I'm already dead because John's giving me that death stare.
Hello and welcome to the Charged Up Bolts podcast. I'm your host, Elliot Bermudez, and on this podcast, we bring you the latest Chargers news. We preview and review every Chargers game, and we bring you the hottest content around. It's that time, guys. It's the big week. It's Chiefs week, or as Woz calls it, 50 Burger week. We're live from London. Oh, no, we're not. Because Woz and I got together in London, right in the heart of England, and we had technical issues, and I got on a train, bombed it 250 miles, and walked in the door to a building site. But I'm here for you guys just in time to give you a Chiefs preview. We're going to be talking about Pepsi Rookie of the Week. We're going to be talking about what we think the big key matchups are to stop Mahomes, for Herbert to succeed, and we're going to make our usual predictions. I am joined by three absolute heroes. First up, it is technical absolute idiot, John Woz Jr.
First of all, thank you for rescuing my phone charger from the hotel this morning. And why didn't you wear that shirt last night? We could have got a free meal.
To be fair, I just walked in for breakfast the day after, and there was a
charger
plugged in to exactly where Woz was sat. I'm like, he's left it, hasn't he? So I saved it, mate. You owe me one.
Yeah.
I'm also joined all the way across the pond, the guy that's been betraying us by going and talking to some Chiefs fans. You'll find that contact coming to you soon. That is John Ayres.
Howdy and welcome from the hashtag Herbert Hanger. It was a solemn day here on Monday as we reviewed a tough loss, but it's all positivity and sunshine today because we know it's time for Herbert to establish his dominance over that Patrick Mahomes, whatever his name is, I don't even know.
No idea.
I don't even remember who he is. I don't even know who he is. Mahomes? I don't know. Whatever his name is.
Mahomes.
Herbert is the one to watch there. So,
and last but not least, the guy that probably could have bailed us out because he's a hero on Twitch. He knows all the technical stuff, but he betrayed us by not coming into London. Maybe we'll see you in a few weeks at the Tottenham game. Dan, Hollywood King.
How you doing, Bez?
Yeah, I missed you. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you. When we get together. I'm not.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Love the shirt,
mate.
Dan, that is a cool jersey you're wearing, by the way.
Oh, cheers! It's
that is incredible.
It's the yellow Bosa. So.
It's beautiful.
I just noticed again for the fifth week running, Bez hasn't got anything Chargers related on. That's what $35.
Shirt's near enough.
Yeah,
I've got clothes. I call this, my Curtis homage because he loves all this. So this is a shout out to you, my friend. But what we're talking about, we missed coming live for you from the capital, but even better, we're coming from California. We're coming from Ricky. We're coming from Bolton. We're coming from Colchester. We're bringing you the content. So let's get straight onto it. It is the big one. I'm going to go straight to you, Woz. Are we going to put a 50 burger on Mahomes, or are you streaking around Trafalgar Square again?
To be fair, I can't see us scoring any more than 45 on Sunday.
That's poor, mate. That's poor. So what are the big matchups? We beat them in garbage time game last year, but we lost the one that mattered earlier in the season. The teams seem to be quite similar in terms of scoring. The Chiefs 30-second defense. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
And you know, I still feel as if the emotions, the pressures on us. Am I wrong to think that? Are we underdogs here? Should we be optimistic? John, you know, you spoke to the Chiefs guy. What was the general themes in your mind before the game?
Well, I think there's an expression, you know, the immovable force versus the unstoppable object, or whatever it is, the immovable object, unstoppable force, whatever. This game is kind of the opposite of that. It is the movable object versus the stoppable force. So what I mean by that is, we as Chargers fans, we talked about this, how uncomfortable we are with our red zone success so far. So we are tied with the Buccaneers for most trips into the red zone at 10 through the first 2 weeks. We've scored a touchdown 3 times. And that is awful. There's only 7 other teams who've scored touchdowns less than us. That's not great. However, the bright side of that, and what the Chiefs guys were talking about, was that the Chiefs are not good at all in the red zone. They were almost dead last year at a 73% touchdown give up rate in the red zone. This year, they've had their opponents get into the red zone 8 times, and they've held them to anything less than a touchdown 0 times, meaning they've given up 8 straight red zone touchdowns. So the hope is that something's got to give. And generally the offense scoring, I think, is more likely than the defense stopping them. Because, I mean, 32nd ranked defense. I mean, they're just they're giving up 7.6 yards per play. It's really not a good defense there. So I'm really hoping that we can turn around our red zone struggles and our offense can really capitalize. Because, I mean, if the Chargers 3 of 10 is bad. If they're 5 of 10, if they have one more touchdown in each game in the red zone versus a field goal, they've won both games. Right. I mean, they already won the first game, but they would have beat Dallas if one of those red zone trips had been turned from a field goal into a touchdown, or from a nothing to a touchdown. So,
I mean, there probably would have been a ref penalty on that play, but you never mind.
That's true too. Yeah, like I said, I'm not calling penalties on field goals, but and they asked me about it. They said, "Hey, it's another late loss for the Chargers. Are they the same Chargers?" And I think we talked about this, on the Monday's episode. Waz lamented on this, that there's always that feeling that it's the same old Chargers, but it's not. If you look at it, it's different. There's a different reason here. And this one felt a little bit more like old Chargers, with the missed field goal and penalties, but I still don't think that this team is choking away leads the way it used to. So I've got a lot of positivity, but I say all that to really say, I still think the Chiefs are the favorite here, and we're the underdogs coming in.
I'm right with you. I mean, Dan, correct him. Tell him that you've got full confidence in this team, and you think we're going to blow Mahomes and these overrated Chiefs away.
I would, but I agree with John. It's hard not to. Like, Andy Reid doesn't lose back-to-back games. Andy Reid doesn't end up with a losing record at any point. It's a stretch to imagine it happening. I mean, there's every chance. There's every chance, as you say, with the defense playing as badly as it is, and Herbert being Herbert, there's always a chance. But I just think it's a slim chance. I think it's more likely that their defense kind of gets more into gear. The more games they play, they get more into their rhythm, and I'm looking forward to the game. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm. Not nervous?
No, because I think I've already resigned to losing.
You guys
Such
are
a
killing
Chargers
me.
fan over there. Come on.
I'm
bring
the
us some
only
optimism.
one that has any kahunas to say the Chargers are going to beat the Chiefs.
Look, I'll say it. I'll say it.
it.
I wouldn't put money on it, but I'll say it all day long.
Chargers are going to destroy the Chiefs 7-2.
Boys.
I think we'll end up with a 4-2 record in this division. Well, that's what I thought before we made a snap in week 1. Now, I think we'll probably come away with a defeat on Sunday and win when we come back to the West Coast. But there's a reason why both these teams are 1-1 this season. They've got some formidable weapons on offense. You look at the Chiefs with Pat Mahomes, as we call him now, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. There's no consistency. Andy Reid did not set out this season to have a 32nd ranked defense, a 32nd ranked defense in the red zone. Daniel Sorensen has been horrendous. Okay, he's missed more tackles
He's
than the entire
terrible.
Chargers team
He's
put
their weak
together.
link.
And he's dirty as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
some of our players that we expected to stand up this season haven't played or haven't played well or are missing. We've got no consistency, and that is the key to being successful in the NFL. You can have 6 standout players, but if the rest of your roster are playing at a garbage level, you're not going to win anything. And we don't need 11 superstars on defense. We don't need 11 superstars on offense. We need 2 or 3 on each, but we need consistency. And what I mean by consistency is the ability to execute, not giving away silly penalties, not dropping the football, not fumbling, not being drawn into an offside situation where you're losing yardage. And that's where both teams find themselves at the minute. The coaches have got a job to do. It's up to the players to get it into their head that they can do what's being asked of them. And that's where we're at. We don't know what we are at the minute as the Chargers. We're 1-1. We saw a great team against Washington. We saw spells against Dallas, and at times we were awful. Okay. I've watched the game back, and I was probably too upbeat about the defeat. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been better, but it wasn't. We need to stop these silly mistakes. And it's not on the rookies either. It's some of our veteran players. I don't particularly think that we had a great time up front protecting Herbert. Right tackle is a massive problem. Now, Chris Harris has got a wrist injury. Chris Jones has got a wrist injury for the Chiefs. But I'm not reading too much into that. DeMarcus Lawrence was out against Dallas.
And they still
Micah
dominate
Parsons absolutely destroyed us. We've got no run defense whatsoever, and that concerns me. We have to sort that out immediately. And if Chris Harris is not going to be available, which it doesn't look like he's going to be, where does that leave us again? Because Asante Samuel Jr. has played out of his skin for a rookie.
Pepsi Rookie of the Week.
Yeah, but we need Harris.
How many times did you all vote?
I didn't.
60.
I forgot.
It
It didn't matter. He still won
He still won.
because we have more fans than
Because we have
just
no
the 4 of
fans.
us.
But I think one of the keys to the game on Sunday is keeping Travis Kelce quiet, and that's what the Ravens did.
Challenge, really hard work to do.
They did. They kept
And
him
he
busy.
isn't
at the line
quiet
of,
2 weeks in a row. Reed doesn't lose, and he doesn't.
they kept him
quiet.
quiet at the line of scrimmage. Okay, they kept an eye on Tyreek Hill, but look at what the Chiefs still did. The Chiefs still put up a hell of a lot of points. On another day, they'd have blown a team out. It's whether or not Brandon Staley, Ronaldo Hill can put a game plan together that looks at what the Ravens did. But at the same token, the Chiefs are going to come for us on Sunday, and they're going to try and make us look like fools. And if we turn up with half a heart, we're going to come unstuck.
I don't think we will. I here's the thing: is that most times we play the Chiefs, we're their kryptonite, and we push them close every time, and we go toe to toe with them. We're always they go and blow other teams out of the water in seasons past, and we're right there with them, putting in a good performance, sometimes beating them, sometimes coming close enough. I think this is going to be different. I think Mahomes is going to have a field day. I think he's going to rip our defense to pieces. He's going to put up a lot of points. But guess what? Herbert's going to have a day and we're going to win. We're going to win, boys. There you go. I've said it. Herbert's going to find his rhythm. He's going to absolutely abuse Eckler. We're going to have some trickery. We're going to use Mike Williams again. He's going to maintain his form because I picked him in fantasy and I want him to win me the week.
The problem with the Chargers offense at the minute, we're finding ourselves in too many third and long situations. And for the new listeners,
And we're doing well in those third and longs.
Yeah, but we need to stop.
Herbert bails us out every time.
We need to stop that. Third and long, talking 7+ yards. And Allen and Mike Williams will always get us out of a jam. But we shouldn't find ourselves in that position in the first instance. John is our offensive guru, and he will tell you, from not stealing his sandwiches, how good Justin Herbert's been, despite throwing 3 picks this in 2 weeks. Had it not been for Herbert against Dallas, we wouldn't have even been in that game. John, am I right?
You're absolutely true. I mean, honestly, if you go look at the stats, as amazing as Herbert's stats are right now, if you go through and track penalties, he's had 300 yards and about 300 yards and 3 touchdowns revoked because of penalty. So whether or not those were justified, I'm not going to go back and say all of those should have been overturned. But I'm just saying, if you could tack on 200 of those yards and 2 of those touchdowns, again, no one would be talking any kind of regression. Some people are trying to point to the red zone stats as regression in his sophomore slump or whatever, but that's ridiculous. I think Herbert's really carrying this team on his shoulders, and it's been borne out by how they're running the offense. And again, maybe it has something to do with facing a stout defensive front like Washington, and then the way that Dallas's defensive front was able to manage our O line and just manhandle them. But they've really put the entire offense on Herbert. I mean, we had, I want to say 12 rushing attempts in game 1 versus Dallas. We had 19 attempts. However, 4 of them were Herbert. So really we only had 15 rushing attempts. So, I mean, they've obviously decided, look, the best way for this team to move forward is to throw the ball. And honestly, it's been working. Yes, that third down rate is pretty high, but another rate that's very low is our third down, or is our 3 and outs, right? How often is this team going 3 and out? They're going like 6.3% was my number. 6.3%. That's number 1 in the league on 3 and outs, right? That's an impressive rate, right? Because I mean, if you're going 3 and out, you're not giving your defense any time to rest. You're not getting any momentum. You're not flipping the field on them. You're losing the position. It's everything else going, but they're not going 3 and out. They've got they're 5th in offensive yards. They're number 1 in average yards per drive. They're just having a slight issue in the hiccup of points scored, right? They're 25th in points scored. They're 3 and 10 in the red zone, right? If we can clean up some of these issues and we can start turning those red zone trips into touchdowns, this is going to be viewed as one of the best offenses in the league. Yeah. And it's because of Herbert. It's because of that dime throw he makes over Trayvon Diggs into Williams. I mean, I've seen that thing a million times, and it's still amazing every time I see it. I mean, I just think, and I was telling the guys, they were asking me, hey, has Herbert regressed, or is he making any improvements in year 2? Like, what are you guys seeing so far? And I tell him, look, absolutely, he's taken steps forward, and the stats may not bear it out because he doesn't have a bunch of big touchdown throws yet. Again, some of those penalties, some of those just the scheme hasn't dictated that. I think teams, again, they're playing more high safety. They're playing more deep max protect, and allowing Herbert to kind of pick them apart because they don't want to get burned by that giant arm. So I don't think it's necessarily that we're not taking deep shots. I think it's that they're protecting against our deep shots better. But I said, you know what? The number one thing that I'm looking at to see, hey, is Herbert any better this year, is I'm looking at his stats from a clean pocket. I'm watching him sit in the pocket when he has time. And again, a lot of that was in week 1 because week 2, he didn't have much time. But when he does have a clean pocket, he's making great throws. Yep. In year 1, we saw a lot of those mishap throws where he's just sitting in the pocket. He's got a wide open, like Hunter Henry streaking down the middle, and he overthrows him or throws it behind Mike Williams or whatever. Right. And we have seen a lot less of those errant throws this year. And that to me is showing that
he hasn't missed a single throw to Henry this year.
No,
it's great.
One thing I like about Herbert is he looks so cool under pressure. I think we gave up 18 pressures against Dallas. 9 were attributed to Storm Norton. And I can't remember who it was who was chasing him down the sideline at one bit. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm not bothered. Come and get me. I don't care. But he's so cool. And his quick release as well. I think he's something like 2.6 seconds average getting the ball out of his hands versus Mahomes at 2.66. So his numbers are very similar. And we know how good Mahomes is. And, I love Phillip Rivers. He's probably going to go down as one of my top 3 favorite NFL players. But I wonder how many times Rivers would have been sacked on Sunday because he doesn't have that ability.
About 20.
Well, there you go. And that
in those 18 pressures, 20 times.
and there's been talk of, do we put Matt Fielder at right tackle? I don't think that's the right move. You've then got Brendan Jameis at left guard, putting 2 rookies on the left-hand side. I don't think that's going to work. So I think we are going to see more of Storm Norton at right tackle, unless anybody else disagrees.
Unfortunately, I agree. Unless we bring in the amazing Pipkins. No, thank you.
Yeah, he's a fullback now. Don't try to change his positions. That's not good for players.
One thing I'm interested in is Staley's talked about how they are built defensively to stop other teams exploding down the field, and that might mean allowing the short pass and allowing runs down through the middle. Regardless of that, I can't say how disappointed I am with K9, Kenneth Murray. Dan, is he hesitating? What's your think? Do you think he can bring it back? What do you reckon about him?
I do wonder how much the injury in the first quarter of the game last week affected him for the rest of the game. I mean, by the time we got to the final 3 minutes, he had that amazing hit that we spoke about the other day where he just burst straight through and just bodied Zeke Elliott. So, like, it's there. It's just finding that rhythm. And I know Staley has spoken yesterday about figuring out the rotation with players like Drew Tranquil and getting people in there. So I wonder if we'll see a bit more Drew Tranquil this week.
I don't know. Are we going to see more special teams? I got a lot of flack for this when I used to come out and talk out against Drew Tranquil, saying, look, yeah, he's had some great splash plays when he was in there, but it was such a small sample size. I don't actually think he was as good as people thought he was, but they were elevating him to some, all pro level linebacker for some reason. I don't know. So, and this, defensive minded coach and defensive scheme comes into place. And what do? They stick Tranquil on special teams, which is a good place for him. Actually, he's a great special team. He's got that great effort and it's exactly who I want on my special teams. But they leave him on special teams and he's getting a minimum amount of snaps in linebacker. There's a reason for that. I think, K9 needs to fix some things and clean some things up. I think something that he's had a problem with since college is his vision and really reading and understanding what's going on and making it happen. And you can see it out there. And I think that's the biggest issue with him is I don't know if it was an injury thing per se, because it didn't look to me like he was really favoring anything. To me, it just looked like he didn't know what was going on sometimes. He was shooting the wrong gaps. It looked like he didn't know what his assignment was necessarily. And he just wasn't, it didn't feel like he was in the right position. And again, I don't know exactly what their defense is, what he's supposed to do in each set. I'm not that kind of, I don't know that much about how the defense is lined up and what they're supposed to be doing. But from what I watched when I was watching him out there, he just seemed to be lost on various plays, and he seemed to kind of take himself out of the play by shooting the wrong gap or going in the wrong direction, which again I think he needs to clean up. And if he can clean that up and get his vision back and play more instinctually and see what, I think you're going to see that K9 do those kinds of big hits like you saw at the end of the game. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of our defensive players missing on Sunday, John. Joey Bosa didn't have a particularly good game. Two players that did stand out were Asante Samuel and the number one ranked safety in the NFL, Derwin James, and another phenomenal. He missed a tackle, but look, yeah. Other than that, he was pretty phenomenal.
He missed a tackle, man. He was sent out of SoFi Stadium and fell in Rivers Lake. He was sent the wrong place.
But look,
but he did have that. He had that tackle at the end of the first half on that ridiculous rugby style play.
Yeah,
he managed to chase Zeke Elliott down and knock him out at the 3.
Yeah,
thank God. That would have been
that would have been terrific. That was like the Ravens.
That would have been
more of that.
Chargers.
4th and 29. Yeah, it was similar.
You're going to see more of that on Sunday. But my personal view, John, you obviously spoke to the Chiefs yesterday. Are they as worried about us, or are they not bothered? Do they think that they've won this game already?
Well, I mean, I think something that we've talked about before is that the Chargers always play the Chiefs tough. I think whenever you've got a divisional game, especially in the AFC West, it always seems to be, no matter how good one team is and how bad the other one is, it always seems to be closer than it should be. So they're obviously worried and concerned because the Chargers always play them pretty close, and they're obviously very concerned about their red zone defense and defense as a whole. So they're not sure, they're worried about that. They believe it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game. So but I do think that there's an air of just confidence. They are the Chiefs. They do have Patrick Mahomes. They look at their loss to the Ravens, and really it's, a fumble towards the end of the game there that really was kind of the difference maker. Other than that, they probably win that game. Right. So, I mean, it's hard to say if they're how much, doubt is going on. I will say that they did mention that Chiefs Twitter tends to be a little bit more, quote unquote, toxic, and seems to really latch on.
That was the word I'd got in mind.
Yeah. A lot more of the negative they seem to latch on to a lot. So there might be a lot of doom and gloom out there, but I think they're saying that the temperature as a whole is confident that the Chiefs are still the best team in the division, and confident that they'll still win the division and make it to the playoffs. So I don't think they're necessarily worried, but they know that the Chargers always play them close. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're going to give them a close game. I think the key to me is, can we get whoever plays right tackle, probably Storm Norton, help? Why aren't we helping him? Because we heard Staley say in pre-season that we now know who Pipkins and Storm Norton are, and if they're out there, we're going to get them help. And then he was on an island getting destroyed by Micah Parsons.
Yeah, Cook came in, didn't he, and helped him. But
late on, but that is too late an adjustment. I think that Cook needs to step up. I didn't think he had a particularly good game. I think we need to clean up the penalties. And actually, on the quiet, Nazir Adderley's having quite a nice start to the season. He's milliseconds off, but or he's there and thereabouts. He's had big hits. He and Asante Samuel, I think, broke up a
They hit
pass
on
into the end
Cooper.
zone. Yeah, it was
That
crackers
was an
on.
amazing. That he leaped out of his shoes. I didn't think he even had a chance at that ball, like maybe to tip it and knock it away, which I was hoping for. But he was so high. I'm like, is he going to intercept that? He didn't. But he was at full. That would have been a hell of an interception.
He
tried.
would have been
But
incredible, and
honestly,
I'm really impressed
Still
with him.
great job covering that and knocking that out. He did a great job. Very impressed with him.
So
And
can we
Kaiser
put-
White. Don't forget about Kaiser White. I think
Kaiser
Kaiser White's
White,
having
yeah.
a really
Yeah.
Did
great
he lead the
season
team
so
in
far.
tackles, I think, this week or week
I'll have
two?
to double check that. That sounds right though.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I want to see more from our front. I want to see more. I get we're not stacking the box. We're challenging them to run to stop them going deep. But I want to
We
see
might
more
have
from
Justin Jones back.
Yeah, I take that. I like
Because
Justin
he
Jones
was,
more than most people.
He did
Coach
practice
Staley was
today.
more. Yeah, he say he was more positive about Justin Jones than Chris Harris.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
Harris
I think
doesn't look
Justin
good.
Jones is probably more important than Harris right now.
Yeah,
I
I'd say
I
so.
think our secondary has enough versatility and talent to cover up holes. Like this last game, you saw Derwin James playing in the slot a lot, covering. Like we have that ability to do that. So, but yeah, the defensive front, I agree, is a real liability right now. And Jerry Tillery is just so bad. I mean,
what a bust! I know.
I
I'm
mean,
so
he's been
excited
looking
about
so
that.
bad. Linval Joseph is okay, but again, I think his age is really starting to show.
Yeah.
I think Justin Jones, I think he's a really important player. I don't think he's any kind of a, again, he's probably not going to get named to any all-pro teams or any first teams or second teams on defense, but I think he's really important to this team. And I think what he does provide, I think slots right nicely into the middle of our defense and commands a lot of respect and attention, which is what frees up Joey Bosa or Uchenna Nwosu on the outside. So did Nwosu play last week? Because I feel like I
Just
don't
didn't
remember
notice him,
seeing.
did we?
I don't even think I don't think his number got called once. I mean, at least
No.
not on a penalty, which is good. But I don't remember hearing his number called once or seeing him out there and going, "Oh, Nwosu's there." Like it was basically looking at Bosa's side and watching Tillery flounder around and getting schooled by like third round
Yeah,
tackle prospects. I
and
mean,
that's
or
the-
third string tackles. I'm like, oh.
and that's a problem, John. If the Chiefs start hot, we spoke about stopping Dallas from getting a quick start, and Dallas did exactly that. They would have scored probably on the second drive last weekend had ASJ not taken that interception, and it's going to be the same again. Trying to restrict the Chiefs' tempo, because once Mahomes gets rolling, it's how we're going to stop them and get them off the field. Because once our defense for the last few seasons has a tendency to get gassed. When they start getting tired, the game starts slipping away from us and it puts more pressure on the offense. So I'm just going to be really interested to see who steps up this week, because everyone needs a phenomenal game. It's as simple as that, or we're going to get torched.
Yeah, and it needs to start from the front. Bosa needs to bring his A game, because I feel as if he's performing below where we would expect him. Melvin Ingram is doing well in Pittsburgh, and without that, with Nwosu and Fackrell coming in as bit part players, nothing from Tillery, and no Justin Jones, Bosa, the team, I feel as if, a little bit of extra attention, and sometimes not, and he's not getting it done.
And
which he
Bo's had
needs
an
to.
ankle injury as well throughout the week. He's had limited practice.
So I think there's things to clean up, but I want us to see, where are we going with our predictions? Come on, put it on the line, gentlemen. I'm going to let Dan go first. He looks like he's got a score in mind here.
31-23.
I'd watch that.
Chiefs.
Oh, shot to the heart. Dan, I'm gonna have to make you eat a hat on that one. I'm gonna go now to
I've got plenty. I'm fine.
To be fair, you do. You have to lend me one to eat. Go on, John.
All right. So I think I see something similar, I think, because I just see the Chiefs throwing up some big numbers because they're in Arrowhead. I think it's going to be a tough game. I mean, I easily see them throwing up like 31 points on us, unfortunately. Thankfully, I see the Bolts throwing up an impressive 35 points. That's right. You heard it. That's why I'm talking about 5 trips to the red zone and 5 touchdowns, flipping the narrative and then going 8 of 15, which is a much more respectable number. So I see them, the Chiefs continuing to fail to stop the Bolts. I see them continuing to fail to stop anyone from scoring in the red zone. And I see a 35-31 victory and a wonderful looking victory brisket come Monday.
I think that gnome's been whispering in your ear too much. Come on, Woz.
It's going to be a high-scoring game. The over-under's 56.5. Chiefs have scored 68 points through 2 games. They conceded 65. I've also got the Chargers scoring 35 points. I've got the Chiefs scoring 38.
Oh.
Overtime field goal.
Oh, again? Why? Why would you do?
Look, when we
Brutal.
played the Chiefs in our first game with Justin Herbert under center, it was a close game. We had the close game a few years ago, Thursday night football, when the Chiefs.
The Mike Williams 2-point conversion.
Yeah. So, and we know they're going to come and play hard. We've said that we're going to go and play hard, and I just thought it's going to be a 3-point game, but I just fancy us to win on home soil both games. So Chiefs win this one. We'll take the next one. That's what I fancy.
You ready, boys?
Come on, Bez.
Okay.
35.
Another 35.
17 Chargers.
What?
Mahomes is going to look ordinary. The D's going to light it up.
Tell
Asante
you what.
Samuel's going to get an interception.
It's
We're going to
not
smash them.
It's
to
not
bits.
unheard of. I really don't. I mean, so here's the thing about Mahomes, and the difference between him and like a Dak Prescott is Mahomes lives and dies by taking deep shots and throws that you would normally not take. But because he has so much success in Kansas City, it overshadows all of the turnovers and potential turnovers, right? He led the league, I think, in dropped interceptions or something like that, right? Or interceptable passes, whatever that stat is, right? He's led the league or been at the top of the league every year.
It's all those underhanded, like forward tosses and
but he makes a lot of throws that should be intercepted, and I think we finally have the talent in our backfield with James Adderley, Asante Samuel, even Mike Davis and Kaiser White. I think we've got the guys out there to capitalize on that and force those turnovers and really kind of. I mean, I don't know if holding them to 17 would be massively impressive. But I could definitely see the defense really looking great because I mean,
Mahomes
honestly, they can't run.
due. Exactly, he's
Bez,
due.
if that
for
result
game.
comes off, I will match your fine, which is about $35 at the minute, okay? And I'll wear a shirt that's louder than what you're wearing now.
I challenge you to
On the
this.
next-
And I
on the next
was
pod.
the only one that got the exact score for the Cowboys game. So you got to listen to my predictions. Look, guys, have we got any other comments, previews, any comments before we wrap up?
No, just a big shout out to Brian Rick, Chargers win 2021 on Twitter. He follows a lot. We're not here to compete against other Chargers Twitter handles or podcasts. I think the Chargers fan base is growing despite what people say. And Brian's always grateful for the stuff that we put out and produce. So thank you very much, Brian.
Thanks for listening, Brian. Oh, he's brought the no.
Oh, it's
out.
back. It's back.
What? Hello, guys. I've got a good report for you. Yeah. All right. So Nomio Greats just wants to tell everyone how great it was to see everybody he saw over at SoFi Stadium for week 1, or I guess week 2, but game 1. A lot of fun. He also wanted to mention that him and myself did make an appearance with the Always Sunny in Chiefs Kingdom pod. So I'll be featured on their audio podcast. We've got a little video and audio that we'll add. I think the podcast is do it, and all you guys watching on YouTube, we'll probably kick it over to a small, short, little 10-minute YouTube video on that interview. So good insight between how the Chiefs are feeling and how we're feeling, and kind of a little banter back and forth. A little bit of shots fired at the current league. Division leaders, Raiders and the Broncos.
both with easy games this week.
Yeah.
So, it's just two sets of fans from bottom dwelling AFC West teams talking about football. It was good fun. I highly recommend you check them out. The hosts are really funny. Taylor and Austin are great. That's at Taylor_Wit, as well as Real Bird Lawyer. Don't ask me. He's a real lawyer, and apparently he does bird law. But he loves corgis, so we had a nice little discussion, at least off air, about the Corgi Cup, which was amazing. If you were at SoFi and saw that during halftime, the Corgi Cup was amazing.
Stop rubbing it in that we weren't there.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Cheers.
No problem.
Guys, where can we-
ears okay now? Still ringing after the noise?
We're good. We're good.
Where can we find you all on the socials?
Endzone 85.
You can catch me at Adroit Airs. And you can find me at Nomeo Greats.
And you can find me at UKLA Chargers.
You can find me at Bez the Spaniard. The podcast is at Charged Up Pod. Thank you for listening. Go Bolts.
Bolt up.
This is Rashawn Slater, first round draft pick for the LA Chargers, and you're listening to the Charged Up Bolts podcast. Bolt up.